I remember when World of Warcraft launched way back in 2004. I was heavily into EverQuest and Diablo around that time, but like many other people, I made the jump to WoW rather than EQ2. WoW gave me so many memories, especially playing Classic, and I was just thinking about it the other day when talking to a buddy. We're back after a very weird week, and I'm Jeff from GameStinger, and here are 5 of the best moments from WoW's history. Number 5. The Dungeon Finder. Starting off pretty basic here, only the OGs remember having to run to meet each other up for a dungeon. You want to run Scarlet Monastery as an Alliance character? Well, you better mount up and start riding up into enemy territory. There were nights where getting everyone to the dungeon was half the battle. Then along came the Dungeon Finder, and it allowed us to click a button, get matched with others in a queue, and with a simple loading screen, we would all be in the beginning of a dungeon. It was magical. Though I kind of admit that some of those runs are kind of half the fun. Number 4. South Shore vs. Terran Mill. Ah yes, the days before Battlegrounds. When WoW first launched, you didn't have the PvP battle arenas there are today. Instead, you actually had to go out into the world to find members of the opposite faction. One of the earliest zones to see this kind of bloodshed was Hillsbrad Foothills. South Shore, Terran Mill, Alliance and Horde. There were no rewards for doing this, just the solid satisfaction of beating your enemies. This soon grew, and there were literally hundreds of players battling just because they could. I was there all those years ago. Number 3. Thunder Fury, Blessed Blade of the Windseeker. Did you guys hear about Jake? He got a freaking orange sword. Oh yeah, remember hearing that there was a legendary sword in the game? One that completely dwarfed all other epic weapons in the game? Hell, remember Molten Core? Those were the days. Players had to get a few different, very low percent drops from the Molten Core bosses, which was not easy back then. And that was just the beginning of Thunder Fury's questline. I remember how coveted it once was, and how believable it was to hear about it. Times were simpler back then. Number 2. Leroy Jenkins. You expect to see this at number 1? I thought about it, but for number 1 I went with something else. This, however, is a legendary moment that even non-WoW players saw. The moment went viral, and soon Leroy Jenkins was an internet superstar and releasing cookbooks featuring his famous chicken. This moment came when his guild, Pals for Life, was preparing for a battle in Upper Blackrock Spire, and while detailing this super in-depth plan, Leroy jumps up, sprints into the room, calling out his legendary name. You've seen the video, you know what happens next. Unfortunately, the entire video is completely staged. I don't care though, he's still the hero that we needed. Before we get to number 1, I had to throw this in, so here's a special mention. Ready, normal people? The Internet is for Porn was a music video that used WoW characters, and is one of the first times I remember seeing really anything like it. The song is from Avenue Q Ensemble, Rick Lyon, and, oh boy, Stephanie D'Abruzzo? Anyway, it made its way around the internet and was absolutely hilarious. It definitely deserves an honorable mention for WoW moment. Number 1. Ezra's Final Wish. This isn't just one of the greatest moments in WoW history, but in all of gaming in general. Ezra Shatterton was a young boy who was dying from cancer, and his make-a-wish was to visit the developers of his favorite game. Blizzard graciously rolled out a red carpet and let Ezra create his own quest, Ahab Wheathoof, and it still remains there today. He was also given the best loot in the game and the most coveted flying mount for the Burning Crusade expansion. Unfortunately, Ezra passed in 2008, but his story lives on and has touched millions of people from around the world. Blizzard has continued to make tributes to real-life people in their fantasy world, and we thank you, Blizzard. Rest in peace, Ezra. So what do you think? What's your favorite moment or memory from this enormous game? Let us know in the comments below. Also, don't forget to stay up to date with gaming news and updates at GameStinger, and be sure to follow us on Facebook, Twitter, and YouTube for great videos, news, and gameplay.